Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the top 3 weapons for each weapon category in Battlefield 6. I did the same thing for Battlefield 2042 and you guys absolutely nailed it when it comes to support for those videos. So I was like, why not do this with Battlefield 6? So here we are, we're going to start with assault rifles and we're going to go all the way until we reach shotguns and finally sidearms. So for each weapon category, we're going to have a top 3 weapon. Now keep in mind that Battlefield 6 is a new game. There will be new guns in the future. And one thing is for sure, my perception of the game and the weapons in this game will change when I start to play more and when I play more and more with all these weapons. So I'm going to make sure to keep this video updated. Maybe a couple of months later, I'm going to make another video giving you everything with the new weapons that are added to the game. But until then, let's go ahead and take a look at the top 3 weapons for each weapon category in Battlefield 6. Starting off with assault rifles, and at number 3, you've got the Court 6P67. Now this thing is the final variant of the AEK 971, 900 RPM. However, in previous Battlefield titles, the AEK had a lot of recoil, whereas in Battlefield 6, the Court 6P67 basically has 0 recoil. So you're going to get 900 RPM of rate of fire, you're going to get basically no recoil, but the only downside to this weapon is a little bit of lower damage. So the damage model among all the assault rifles is lower, but that fire rate is going to compensate for that. And not only are you going to have a good time in close range, but even in medium range, this weapon is going to kick some butt because the thing is just a no recoil and a laser beam. Now moving on to number 2, we've got the NVO-228E. This is the Galil Ace, the Ace 23 from Battlefield 4 if you guys remember. And this thing is an absolute powerhouse in Battlefield 6. In less than 10 meters, the BTK for this weapon is 3 rounds, meaning you only need 3 bullets to kill someone in less than 10 meters. So that's going to take care of your CQB situations. However, this weapon's recoil is pretty much manageable. It's not anything over the top, and the recoil is actually pretty decent, meaning that you're going to have a very good time shooting for medium range, even for long range in some cases, because the weapon's damage model just craves those long shot kills. However, maybe the fire rate might lack sometimes against something like the Court 6P67, for example, but make no mistake, this weapon is actually one of the best assault rifles out there in Battlefield 6. And not only in multiplayer, this thing actually makes sense even in RedSec. So with all those armor plates and stuff, this weapon will still do the job. And honestly, personally speaking, this is probably my second favorite assault rifle in Battlefield 6. And now finally at number 1 for assault rifles, we've got the B36A4. Now this weapon is a combination of everything you need basically in a weapon. So when it comes to versatility, the B36 is actually the most versatile assault rifle in the assault rifle category. This thing has a pretty manageable recoil, and for medium to long range even, your weapon's not gonna suck, and believe me, this thing is gonna do pretty damn good. Now when it comes to close range, your hipfire accuracy and your fire rate will actually save your life in a lot of situations. And believe it or not, even against weapons like the Court 6P67, given the fact that this weapon has a higher rate of fire, B36 will still prevail if the shooter is doing the job right because of the damage model and because of the fire rate. But yeah, the B36 in my opinion is the most versatile assault rifle, and it is well deserved when it comes to assault rifles, and this weapon being the best one here in this list. Now moving on to SMGs, at number 3 we've got the PW5A3. This is the MP5, and you guys probably know this weapon. This weapon has been the meta SMG ever since Battlefield 6 came out, and honestly, the fire rate, the recoil, the recoil just doesn't exist. The fire rate is great. The TTK is not over the top. Like, we have SMGs that can actually, you know, compete with this weapon and actually have a lot to say against it when it comes to TTK. All in all, when it comes to shooting people at range, the recoil of the MP5 will actually make things a lot different, and TTK is not going to be the only determining factor in the choices of this video. However, there is one honorable mention here, and that is the SGX. That weapon has a faster TTK compared to the MP5, and believe me, when I say faster, I mean it. It's really faster than the MP5. However, because of the recoil, it might not be that reliable in range, but in close range, the MPX will actually shred anyone better than the MP5. So it just depends on you. If you're okay with the MPX, in my opinion, overall the MPX is a better weapon. However, because of the versatility and because of that lower recoil, the MP5 actually makes it to the top 3. So that's the philosophy behind it. Now at number 2, we've got the KV9. This thing is the Chris Vector. You guys probably know it. We've seen this weapon in many Battlefield titles, and just like all of them, this thing is actually a shredder when it comes to close range gunfights. There is basically no weapon that can be as good as the KV9 when it comes to close range gunfights in Battlefield 6. Absolutely no competitor. You've got plus 1000 RPM rate of fire, and this thing is actually a beast. However, there's a catch to it, and that is recoil. The recoil is perfectly fine for close range, but if you want to hit targets at longer ranges, let's say 30, 40 meters, then this weapon is going to lack because of that fire rate and because you're just not going to be able to land those shots perfectly. Okay. However, this weapon is definitely one of the fastest killing SMGs in the game, and I absolutely encourage you to play this if you haven't already. And finally, at number 1, we've got the SCW-10. This thing, in my opinion, is absolutely just insane. And this is not something coming from me. Anyone who plays this weapon knows how good this thing is. And being the first place here in the SMG category is actually well deserved for this thing. Plus 900 RPM of rate of fire, and the damage model is even better. This thing basically doesn't lack anywhere. There's one thing very important about the SCW-10 is that there is a problem with KV-9, and that is the recoil, right? You can't reach out to longer distances. That issue is actually fixed when you play the SCW-10 because you can. Your recoil isn't all over the place, and those long range shots are actually made easier. Now let's move on to carbines. For carbines at number 3, we've got the M4A1. Now this is going to be a pretty hot list because the M4 is already third. So we're going to have 2 weapons that are actually better in my opinion compared to the M4A1. Now let's talk about the M4A1. This thing has 900 RPM of rate of fire, absolutely perfect damage model. This thing is a beast in close to medium range. However, when, your enemy is a bit far, this thing is gonna suck, honestly, because no matter what you do, you can't literally just control the recoil unless you forget about using a suppressor, which is not recommended by anyone in Battlefield 6 up until this date, because suppressors are really important in Battlefield 6 right now, maybe more than they should be. So if you want to play with suppressors, basically, if you spend a lot of points on grips, you're not gonna have a good hipfire accuracy and vice versa. So you can't really control this weapon's recoil while using a suppressor. You can control it, but it's not going to be a reliable option for longer ranges. That's why the M4 is at 3rd place. Now for the 2nd place, we have the newest weapon of Battlefield 6, the SOR-300BC. This is a smaller size SCAR, and believe me, you basically can't find a carbine as good as the SOR-300 for medium to long range. Okay, and this weapon is actually pretty accurate when it comes to hipfire accuracy. Absolutely insane. And if you haven't played this already, you can just open it up through the Battle Pass and it's free. You guys probably know that. So go ahead and unlock this weapon and actually give it a try. I'm pretty sure you're not going to regret this because this is literally one of the best carbines out there. And finally, at number 1, we've got the SG553R. This weapon is, again, one of the most versatile carbines out there. And versatility is very important when it comes to Battlefield 6 because you need a weapon that can do good in close range and it can also do good at medium to long ranges, at least in medium range. And that is what the SG553R actually does. This thing has a very manageable recoil. Damage model of this thing is absolutely great. In less than 5 meters, I guess, you're going to have a 3-shot body kill. So if the enemy is so close, you can actually finish them off with only 3 bullets. Absolutely insane, this weapon. And it might suck unlocking attachments for this one because the weapon without attachments isn't something that fun to play with. But once you unlock enough attachments on this weapon, you're going to have the time of your life, believe me. So that's about carbines. Let's not waste more time with them and move on to LMGs. At number 3, we've got the M123K. It has an interesting name, M123K. It's odd, but it is what it is. But forget about the odd name because this LMG is actually some sort of submachine gun that can hold around 100 rounds per mag. That is what you get when you play the M123K. 800 RPM rate of fire. You're going to see people just shred at close range. This is an LMG and it's not supposed to be a weapon for close range, but believe me, this one is. I've played this. I have a mastery of around 40 with this weapon, so I'm almost there. And I have quite a lot of experience with this. And believe me, this thing is absolutely no joke when it comes to close range. And even in medium range, long range even, you can basically kill people, suppress people, whatever you want to do with an LMG, this thing does. But there's a big difference here, and that is close range. This is a close range king, okay? If you want something with a lot of firepower for close range, something that can actually compete with assault rifles and SMGs up front, this has to be your option. It's absolutely insane. However, at number 2, you've got the KTS-100 MK8. You might have heard about this weapon being some sort of sniper LMG. I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that because of the ridiculous muzzle velocity of this thing, more than 1,000 meters per second. So that is probably more than some of these sniper rifles. That might not be realistic, but it is what it is. Now, regardless of that muzzle velocity, there is one thing very important about the KTS, and that is recoil. Basically, this thing just has zero recoil. It's really easier to unlock this while the challenges are made easier right now. Go ahead and do that, because this thing is literally a laser beam. And one thing that's very important about this weapon to keep in mind is the ridiculously fast tactical reload. So if you have a few bullets left in that mag and you reload, it probably reloads faster than most of the assault rifles, but you have the firepower of an LMG, and that is very important both in RedSec and in multiplayer, and especially in RedSec, because I've tried this. It's insane. It's insane, and you have to give it a try. And finally, at number 1, you have the DRS IAR. It has minimal recoil, perfect hipfire accuracy, perfect damage model, one of the fastest firing LMGs as well, so you're not going to have a problem. Close range, not for medium range, and even in long ranges, I've had kills from 130 meters away, so this thing can do the job. The only problem with this weapon is the 30-round magazine. Basically turns this thing into some sort of assault rifle. It's some sort of a hybrid weapon between assault rifles and LMGs. You get the firepower of LMGs, however, the rounds per mag is just a bit lacking in this weapon, but believe me, the stats of this weapon will actually compensate for that perfectly. It's also one of the best weapons right now for RedSec, so if you're a RedSec player, the IAR is for you. Now let's move on to DMRs. I might say that a lot of you might disagree with my choices here. Let's go ahead and take a look. At number 3, you've got the SVDM. This is the last DMR that you basically unlock, and despite this DMR having the highest rate of fire among all the DMRs, in my opinion, the recoil of this thing makes it a DMR for close to medium range. Because you see a lot of DMR players going for those long range targets. In my opinion, with the SVDM, that's not something you can do easily. And I'm not saying it's impossible, because the damage model is exactly the same as the M39, but the recoil, there's something wrong with it. And that's because of the fire rate. If there's someone up front, you're gonna have an easy time just completely annihilating them, even in medium range. But in longer ranges above, let's say 120 meters, the weapon's recoil combined with that fire rate will actually make you suffer. So that's been my experience. Maybe I change my mind later down the road. Right now, I believe the SVDM has to be at 3rd place, and it can't make it down to 2nd or 1st place. At number 2, we've got the SVK 8.6. Now, this might trigger a lot of people, and I know there are a lot of people actually loving the SVK. However, I have a different opinion, and that opinion comes from playing the first DMR in this list that we're going to get to in just a few seconds, okay? But about the SVK, I believe 2 factors are coming into play when it comes to this weapon being the 2nd place instead of the 1st place. First of all, the fire rate of this weapon actually lacks against all the DMRs. Regardless of this DMR being a 2-shot body kill at any distance, I believe you still need some fire rates for most of your gunfights. And second of all, you have 10 rounds per mag, which lacks again against the M39 and even against the SVD. The fire rate combined with that 10-round magazine makes this weapon lack in some of these scenarios that a DMR player will face. And finally, at number 1, we've got the M39 EMR. I've played with this thing, believe me, and I know how good this thing is. Compared to the SVDM, this thing is just better in almost any situation, I would say, because the combination of the fire rate and recoil control of this thing makes it a super reliable weapon. Because in longer ranges, you can go ahead and destroy snipers with that fire rate and your accuracy, because fire rate alone wouldn't do anything if your recoil is all over the place. This thing is a complete balance between all of those things. And even compared to the SVK, you still get less recoil, you still get more fire rate, and you're gonna still be able to land those shots easier because of that fire rate and because of the lower recoil that this thing has. So if you haven't played this already, and if you think that I'm actually exaggerating about the M39 and the SVK is somehow better, I encourage you to go ahead and play the M39. Even without attachments, this thing is just a beast. Moving on to sniper rifles, at number 3, we've got the PSR. Now you might ask, why the PSR, also known as Barrett MRAD, or in previous Battlefield titles, the M98B, is at 3rd place while being a very good weapon? Well, the simple reason for that is snipers in Battlefield 6 are completely ridiculous, and they're all the same, except for the newly added Mini Scout, which is a completely different scenario, just a completely different story, this weapon. The other 3 sniper rifles are absolutely just the same. And when you look at the stats, you don't really see any reason why someone should play the PSR. There is not a single aspect of this weapon that is superior to its counterparts. Absolutely nothing. Muzzle velocity, recoil, rechambering speed, nothing. And that's why you can't really put it anywhere below number 3. However, at number 2, we've got the SV98. This thing is actually faster than the PSR. You can easily upgrade the muzzle velocity using an extended barrel and actually make it parallel with the PSR. So everything you have with the SV98 is actually either superior to the PSR or at the same level with the PSR. You've got 10 rounds per mag, the exact same muzzle velocity. The fire rate is higher, so the SV98 is actually a better sniper rifle. Simple as that. And at number 1, finally, we've got the M2010 ESR. This thing is actually superior to every single sniper rifle in this game so far. The muzzle velocity is better. It has faster fire rate compared to both PSR and SV98. When it comes to it, you don't even have to unlock this weapon. It's there at the get-go, so you have access to this thing. You don't need to unlock anything. And the good news is it's probably the best sniper rifle in the game right now, so you don't have to do anything to play the best sniper rifle in Battlefield 6. Just go ahead, play that, unlock some attachments, actually get to know how to play the weapon. You don't really need rangefinders and sniper rifles in this game, and people are just wasting points in my opinion. Get to know the bullet drop and you'll be good to go. And that is about the sniper rifles. Now moving on to shotguns, at number 3 we've got the M1014. This thing is a semi-automatic shotgun, and in my opinion everything is okay about this shotgun except for one thing, and that's the fact that you're going to need more pellets to kill someone compared to the M87A1. Yes, it is a semi-automatic shotgun. It's not a pump action. It's faster, but at the same time, the more you shoot, the less accurate this thing gets. And in close range gunfights where there are 2-3 people against you, you're going to feel this weapon losing accuracy a lot sooner than it should, and it's going to ruin your gunfights basically. However, if you're one-on-one against someone, you're basically just shredding them because this thing is, after all, a semi-automatic shotgun. At number 2, we've got the 18.5 KSK. This thing is, again, another semi-automatic shotgun, but this thing actually has a magazine, and that's going to make reloading faster, and it's going to make it more convenient, more practical when it comes to engaging with more than one person up front at close range. So that's why this thing goes in number 2. And finally, at number 1, we've got the M87A1. By any standard, in my opinion, this shotgun is the best shotgun to this date in Battlefield 6 because most of your shots are one-shot kills. You need way less pellets to kill someone. You have more range. And just basically speaking, it's a more powerful shotgun in the game simply because it is pump action. It's slower, but after all, they have to compensate for that somehow. And that's how. You get more range, it's easier to kill people with one shot. And that's about that. And finally, going back to sidearms, at number 3, we've got the M45A1. This thing deals a lot of damage, but the only problem with this is the 7-round magazine. You can increase that to 15 rounds per mag, but that needs a lot of points, and I'm not sure if that's really worth it. However, regardless of that downside, everything with this weapon is good. But again, it has very strong competitors, and that's why it's placed at number 3. For number 2, we've got the P18. This is the first handgun that you actually get in the game, and in my opinion, it's really one of the best. Perfect hipfire accuracy, great fire rate, and just in general, it's a very good sidearm to have when you know switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading. For those scenarios, this thing will actually come in handy because of that fire rate and because of that perfect fire accuracy. And finally, at number 1, we've got the almighty M44 Magnum. And this thing is a powerhouse, you know it, 2-shot kill, 1-shot headshot in close range. And just in general, it has a lower hipfire accuracy, but it just compensates for that with damage. And those who play this weapon have to be a bit accurate. You can't really miss those shots because you only have 6. So every shot really counts. With just a little bit of practice, you're going to get used to it, and this will become a really handful asset. So that's about today's video. I just gave you the top 3 weapons for every single weapon category in Battlefield 6. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope this video was helpful, somewhat informative. If you have other opinions on weapons, do make sure to go down in the comment section and let me know what that is, because that is the place we can communicate as a community. And I really like to see how you guys actually think about the weapons in Battlefield 6. So do make sure to do that, and thank you all guys for watching. Until next time, guys, stay cool.